Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Car Boss, where we talk about the business of automotive dealership. Welcome back, Commander.
Good morning, Taj. Namaskar to everyone.
Commander, our discussion for today is on after sales. Consistent and incremental revenues are imperative to sustain dealership operations. When unreliable and inconsistent revenue flows from sales operations, dependency on after sales is a reality. In such a scenario, what are your suggestions to grow after sales revenue organically?
I think if you just recall our previous podcast, we mentioned about the critical importance of revenue from after sales to sustain dealership operations.
True.
Towards that, we also discussed about how to retain customers for after sales so that we have enough people coming in for service. So it's very clear, and it's not a thing to even to debate that today in the Indian scenario, unless you have sustainable revenues, or I would think optimum revenues from after sales, you cannot really run the entire dealership operation. So this is a very critical area. Now, when we talk about revenue from after sales, it's also a very sensitive issue. I don't want to use the word maximizing revenue, because when you talk about maximizing, it has a different connotation, and it'll think as if we are exploiting the customer. So I want to use the word optimizing the revenues. How to optimize after sales revenue without exploiting the customers, without dissatisfying the customer. This is a very important underlying condition to this. So I will discuss about and talk about three areas where, if the dealership management, dealership team focus on, then you can see a substantial increase in the after sales revenue. Now, it is not that these are areas which are not known to the dealership. Everybody knows about this, but unfortunately, there is no focused activity towards this. There are no directions to conduct this, and there are no structured way to address these issues. So that is the reason why I think we should discuss this to see how we can take this forward. Now, the first area of operation that I would talk about to improve or optimize after sales revenue is about carrying out scheduled after sales activities on the cars. That means customers who bring their cars for service, they all come at a certain periodic intervals. It's all these days, it is about 1 year in India or 10,000 kilometers, whichever happens earlier. Now, whenever they come for these periodic maintenance activities, you will find there are certain schedules which are mentioned in the owner's manual, recommended by the OEMs. These are all schedule activities.
True.
Now, what we observe, and if every dealership goes and does an audit themselves, they'll find there are many of these schedule activities are not carried out on the cars. Cars come, they go away without carrying out these activities. And why it happens is two reasons mainly. One is that customers say, look, I have not done many kilometers, I have not covered many miles, so why should I do this? The second, they say, is very expensive, I will try and do it somewhere else.
Right.
Now, these are the two areas on which customers don't do this. And this is a big gap. This is somewhere that dealerships are losing a lot of revenues. I will take a very simple case or simple area on scheduled jobs, something called wheel alignment. Now, most of the OEMs recommend in Indian conditions to carry out wheel alignment once in 12 months or 10,000 kilometers whenever they come for service. Now, if you actually check the records of dealership operations, you will find less than 60% of customers don't do wheel alignment.
Oh, okay.
Simple reason, they said we have not covered the miles, or we find you are expensive, we'll get it done outside with some of those local garages. Now, why does this happen? This happens simply because the service advisors are not trained, professionally trained. They don't have the communication skills and the confidence to talk to customers and tell them why it is important to do wheel alignment. Now, we all know when you don't do wheel alignment, there is uneven tire wear out, which leads to cars not being stable. They tend to pull to one side. In the case of a hard brake, cars can swerve and go away. You will find the suspension of the cars get affected, and it also drops mileage of the car. The fuel efficiency of the car also goes down. Now, if you explain these matters to the customers and also tell them, look, Going to a local garage, what happens is they do not have the recommended equipment or standard equipment or calibrated equipment.
True.
And they carry out this wheel alignment, telling they have done. Eventually, what happens is there is no guarantee on the quality of work being carried. And it finally leads to the same issues about tire wear out, etc., which they are not going to back you up. So I think, if service advisors are able to put it across to customers, explain to them the need, the necessity to do these scheduled jobs, and also as to why they should do it to the dealership. Now, if this is done from less than 60%, I have no doubt that this can move up to 80 or 90 or even 100%. Because this is something that everyone wants to get it done because it's very important. So similarly, there are many other activities in the scheduled jobs which don't get done simply because customers don't show interest. The service advisors are not trained to educate the customers to do this. So training the service advisors and making them confident professional guys is very important to achieve this. This is the first area that dealerships should focus on, improving the scheduled jobs being carried out to 100%.
Right.
The second area where you can optimize after sales revenue is a value added service. Now, this is a very tricky area and also a very sensitive area because many OEMs believe that making customers do value added service causes dissatisfaction. Now, I completely disagree with this because, yes, dissatisfaction happens because of the fact the customer's approvals are not taken to carry out value added service or the quality of job done is not good. If either of these happens, yes, there is going to be dissatisfaction. So we have to ensure that the service advisors educate the customers the need or the usefulness of doing a value-added services, how we can benefit the customer. Let's take a very simple case of car interior cleaning. Now, every car that comes after a year or so, you will see the amount of dust and rubbish and, the interiors are dirty, you find the seats are dirty, the side panels are dirty, the dashboard is dirty, etc. Now, if you show this to the customer and explain how an interior cleaning can get the car back to a very hygienic condition, I think customers will go for it.
True.
But this explanation has to be done to the customers and take his concurrence to do that. A second, activity that I've normally seen customers prefer to do is most of them have their paint jobs, getting very dull over the years.
Right.
Now, if you can do a paint rejuvenation, which is part of the value-added service, if you do that, the car has a glossy finish, car looks good, car looks, very new.
True.
Now, if a service advisor is able to explain to the customers the benefits that he derives, why should he not do it? True. So what happens is today, the service advisors are not trained on how to sell value-added services. And they lack the confidence because somewhere they themselves feel that if I put it across, the customers might ask for a discount or he may not want to do something else, etc. So there is a certain amount of trepidation that happens with service advisors. So they have to be trained. They have to have the confidence to sell this. And that's the reason you find in many dealerships between service advisors, there is so much a difference in how much they're able to sell value-added services. Some sell a lot. Some sell very less, simply because of the lack of training in some of them. Now, my impression is, and my take is, that by optimizing, by training your service advisors and optimizing this activity, you can achieve about 4,000 rupees per car on value-added service. This is possible. Many dealerships are already doing more than that. So I'm looking at a very conservative figure. Look at 4,000 rupees per car from value-added services. True. Very achievable, without having to, dissatisfy a customer or create any kind of negative feedback from them. So that is value-added service. The third area where dealerships needs to focus to improve, revenues is what I call quick body repairs. Now, what are these quick body repairs? These are where cars come in for scheduled, service requirements, and they have, dents or scratches on the car.
True.
And they really don't do it because they believe, or some of them have this, notion that going through the insurance is a very long drawn affair, it's very cumbersome, they will lose no claim bonus and car will be off the road for many days, etc., etc. Now, imagine if a body shop advisor is able to explain to the customer how this job can be done within 24 hours at a minimal cost without even having to use the insurance cover where they might lose a little bit of, no claim bonus. It can be done. Customers will go for it.
Yeah.
But what this requires is that the body shop advisor must be trained how to talk to the customers, trained how to pitch his sale. This is very important because if you simply go and ask a customer, sir, you have a dent, will you like to do it? He said, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So that's not the way,
Yes.
So they have to be trained to get it across to the customer, win his confidence, and encourage him to do these repairs. So the body shop advisors, you've got to create a special team in your dealership only to address this kind of repairs of cars coming. And if that is done, you will be able to do this. And you also need a support back in the body shop by having a dedicated team of painter and a denter who only carry out repairs to these quick body repairs so that the cars are done expeditiously and you are delivering the car within 24 hours. True. So what you require for quick body repairs is trained body shop advisors plus a team in the body shop who will be doing these repair jobs in a professional manner and making sure that they deliver within the committed time. Now, True. I would think dealerships should target doing about 15% of cars that come for service. That means if you get 50 cars for service, mechanical service in a particular day, you should be looking at 15%, which means about 8 cars should be, targeted for doing quick body repairs, and which is very possible. In fact, there are people who do even more than that. And the revenue from this quick body repairs on average works out to be about 8,000 rupees per car. So you see the substantial revenue flows that comes in from quick body repairs. So target about 15%, train your body shop advisors, have a team to back up to do this job. So these 3 areas of operation, scheduled jobs, making sure that you do all of them, making sure that you do value-added services to achieve at least 4,000 rupees per car, and quick body repairs targeting about 15% of the total inflow of cars into the mechanical repairs, where you earn about 8,000 rupees per car. Now, these 3 areas, if you concentrate, put focus, put teams onto that, develop processes to make sure that it happens, you will have a substantial increase in the revenues. And I would think this kind of sustained revenues is what is going to help a dealership in maintaining their operations and making sure the operations are viable. So I think very simple things, just needs more focus, more attention, and a will to do that.
True. So there you go, everybody. That's the answer to increasing revenue from after sales. Stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you in the next one.
Thank you, Taj, and namaskar.